Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this 20th lecture session of the course Computational Fluid Dynamics. In the last lecture, we have talked about some different class of schemes, which is particularly referred to as TVD schemes. Okay, and I have explained you the fundamental basis for the TVD schemes, and we have come up with one very important diagram, which will be serving as a tool for developing different TVD schemes. Okay, and that particular diagram is something which is known as RSI diagram. So what we have done, we have actually plotted the values of R and psi for our existing schemes which we have studied yet. So the first one was upwind differencing. Then we have talked about linear upwind differencing, central differencing, quick, and so these were the schemes which we have discussed yet. So we found that for upwind differencing scheme, our value of psi r was nothing but equal to 0. So psi r is equal to 0 for upwind differencing scheme. Then we found for CDS scheme, value of psi r is equal to 1. Another important thing we found that if we have psi r equal to r, that will become nothing but our linear upwind differencing. And we have one more equation, and that particular equation is applicable for quick. Entire design, we have seen that for some of the schemes, is it fine or still it is disconnecting?
It got disconnected.
It is fine, sir.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, so then I told you that now on this RSI diagram, we will try to see some of the conditions under which actually our solution will always be stable. Okay, so these particular conditions, we will not go into the mathematical derivation, rather explicitly I will try to only explain the conditions. Okay, so Swaby in 1984 has mentioned two conditions under which actually your solution will be stable. Okay, so the first condition is applicable when value of r is less than equal to 1. So he mentioned when value of r is less than equal to 1, for that psi r has to be less than equal to 2r, then only our solution will be stable. Okay, so this is the limiting value for the function which has been specified when r is less than 1. Okay, and when r is greater than 1, under that condition psi r has to be less than equal to 2, then only your solution will be stable. Okay, so now what we have got, considering these Swaby's condition, if we imply these conditions on our RSI diagram, we will be finding some portion on the diagram where our solution is stable. Okay, so if these conditions are not met, then obviously the solution will not be stable. Okay, so let me now plot these conditions on the RSI diagram. So this is, say, my r, this is psi. So first I have to plot some line which is having equation psi r equal to 2r. So say this is some line I am plotting over here. Okay, so you can see this limiting value for r less than 1, less than equal to 1 is actually psi r has to be less than equal to 2r. So what I am doing, I am plotting the line with psi r equal to 2r. Okay, so this is one line I have plotted with psi r equal to 2r, and another line I am plotting over here with psi r less than equal to 2. So I will be plotting specifically the line with psi r equal to 2. Okay, so if I plot some line with psi r equal to 2, say that will be something like this. Okay, so this is a line.
So
where
x direction should be r and y direction should be psi.
Yeah, sorry, I have made a mistake. This has to be r, this has to be psi. Yeah, so this is nothing but psi r is equal to 2. Okay, so first line I am having as psi r is equal to 2r, second line I am having as psi r equal to 2. Now if you plot the difference schemes, that is your upwind differencing scheme, then you are having CDS scheme over here, central difference. Then you are having one more scheme as nothing but your quick scheme. Okay, so quick scheme will be something like this. So this is your quick scheme. Okay, so now what I told you, when r is equal to 1, okay, so r will be equal to 1 somewhere over here. So this is the point when r is equal to 1. So the condition is that up to r is equal to 1 or less than equal to 1, your psi r has to be less than equal to 2r. Okay, so it means the stable region up to this boundary, the stable regime is nothing but, up to this boundary, the stable regime is nothing but this one. This point is clear. So whatever the regime I am finding in this direction, that regime is actually stable regime when my r is equal to 1. So this line I have plotted a little bit wrong. So it has to actually pass through this point. It has to pass through this point here. So this is the equation for psi r is equal to 2r. So I told you that when my r is equal to 1 or r is less than equal to 1, during that time, my value of psi has to be less than this psi equal to 2r. Okay. And when r is greater than 1, in this region, my limiting value is nothing but psi r is equal to 2. So it has to be less than this. Okay. So it means whatever this hatched region, say let me hatch this region over here. So whatever the hatched region I am having over here, that particular region is nothing but the stable region on my R psi diagram. Okay, so this is the region where we will not be finding any oscillations into our numerical solution. But if we go beyond this particular region, then obviously we will be having certain oscillations in our solution. Okay, so now for quick scheme, you can see that this is my equation for the quick scheme. So you can see quick will be stable only in this particular bound. Okay, and if you are going beyond this bound, then your quick scheme will not be stable. So after this, it will be becoming unstable because it is not lying in the stable regime on psi r and r diagram. Okay, similarly, you can see over here this central difference scheme. So this particular line is for our central difference scheme, and this is for quick. So this is also the reason over here where your central difference and quick schemes are actually unstable. Okay, this point is clear. And if you plot your LUD scheme, linear upwind differential, so that will be showing unstable solution beyond this point. Okay, so is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
So these were the two very, very important conditions which actually Sweby has mentioned in order to ensure the stability. Okay, but the basic idea of TBT schemes was that we are not only interested in the stability, but we also want to increase the order of accuracy. Okay, so over here, if you see now, over here, if you see what is the order of accuracy for upwind scheme, so you can see order of accuracy of upwind scheme is nothing but 1. Okay, so till now, whatever the stability regime we have defined, for that stability regime, we are only considering the situation that solution has to be stable, but we have not imposed any condition based on the order of accuracy. Okay, so but the basic idea is to ensure stability with higher order of accuracy. Okay, so in order to meet the criteria of higher order of accuracy and ensure the stability alongside, Sweby has also given one more condition in order to ensure minimum order of accuracy as second order. Okay, so this is also one important condition. If we have to ensure second order of accuracy, so if order of accuracy has to be second or more than that, in that case, what has to be done? Whatever the function psi r we will be plotting, that psi r function has to pass through point 1, 1 on R side diagram. Okay, so this is another condition which is actually imposed by SWABI in order to ensure the condition of order of accuracy. Okay, so the condition says that if we have to always ensure the second order of accuracy, our minimum line actually, or our psi function value must pass through point 1, 1 on our R side diagram. Okay, so now if you see what will be happening, you can consider psi R over here. So if I talk about linear upwind differentiation scheme that is having equation psi R equal to R, so obviously that will always pass through point 1, 1, and over here, in order to ensure the stability, limiting condition was, this was the limiting condition, psi R equal to 2R. Okay, and then we are having one more line over here as psi R equal to 1, and this line is actually applicable for central difference scheme. Okay, so now can you tell me which lines are passing through point 1, 1? So I can say that this particular line is always passing through 1, 1. Over here, if you see, I can consider for psi R equal to 2R, my function as something like this. First it is varying like this, and then it is varying like this. So if I consider any function like this, that is also passing through 1, 1, and this particular line psi R equal to 1 will also always pass through point 1, 1. Okay, and if I see over here, in order to ensure the stability, we were having one more condition that psi R has to be less than equal to 2 when R is greater than 1. So I can also consider some line which is like passing through this one point, and then actually it is crossing this top stability condition. Okay, so by the intersection of all the imposed conditions, can you tell me now what will be the reason which will be satisfying both stability as well as the second order accuracy condition? Can you tell me? Say I am naming this as A, B, C, D, E, say over here F and G. Can you now tell me what will be the reason where I will be having both stability and first order accuracy ensured? Sorry, second order of accuracy. Both conditions I want to ensure. So when R is less than 1, for stability, my value has to be below 2R. So it means I cannot go beyond this line. And moreover, in order to ensure the second order accuracy, my point, any line has to pass through 1, 1. So 1, 1, this line is passing. Okay, and this line also, if I take piecewise function, then it can also pass through 1, 1. So 1 is this portion, whatever I am actually setting over here. 1 will be this portion. Can you tell me over here in this regime what will be the portion which will be ensuring both second order accuracy as well as the stability? What will be the reason in the right hand side? Is this region, whatever I have plotted, is it correct? Is it correct? So when R is greater than 1, then you all have to ensure that for stability, value of psi R function should be less than 2. Okay, but at the same point of time, in order to ensure second order accuracy, your line should pass through point 1, 1. So by considering the intersection of these two conditions, I will be finding this region over here, which I have shown as the region which will be ensuring both stability as well as the second order of accuracy. Is this point clear? Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me show this particular formulation on in this slide. So this is the reason actually for the clear depiction. I have taken some photograph from the book. So you can see over here along ordinate we have psi and along the abscissa we have r, and this is the shaded region over here actually, which ensures both the first order, the second order of accuracy as well as the stability. Okay. Now, if you see whatever the general expression we have written yesterday, so that was nothing but phi e equal to phi p plus 1 by 2 into psi r of phi e minus phi p. Okay. So this is the general expression. Now, in order to ensure the stability, if you recall that if we have to calculate the flux at point E, considering upwind differential scheme, the flux was nothing but Fe into phi E for convective term. So if I am talking about only convective flux. Okay. And if I have to find out the flux using this new TVD scheme, so you will be finding over here, because of the TVD scheme, we will be finding as new flux as Fe into phi E plus 1 by 2 Fe into psi r into phi E minus phi P. Okay. So you can see over here, while we are providing some additional flux. Okay. So whatever the flux we are having because of this particular upwind differential scheme, when we are providing some additional flux to the upwind flux, then only we are able to ensure the higher order of accuracy. Okay. But one more point we have seen that if we will be adding this flux beyond certain limit, then also our scheme will be becoming unstable. Okay. So what we have to do basically, we have to limit this additional value. So we have to limit this additional value to a condition where our solution will should remain stable. Okay, so that is one limiting condition over here. So now if you see over here, this Fe, phi E and phi P are something, these are the field variable which depends upon the physical situation. Okay, so the only availability we are having is of tuning this psi r function. Okay, so what I can do, I can tune this psi r function in order to limit the value of flux. Okay, because we are limiting this flux in order to ensure the stability. Okay, so this additional flux is giving advantage in terms of increasing the order of accuracy, but it leads to unstable solution. Okay, so in order to have the stability in our solution, we have to limit the value of this additional flux. So the function which we are having to limit this value is psi r function, and this function we call as nothing but our limiter function. Okay, so we call this function as limiter function, which will be assisting us in obtaining higher order as well as the stable scheme. Okay, so now different researchers have tried different kinds of limiter function, and they have taken the limiter function in such a fashion so that these lies within this shaded portion over here, and under these conditions actually people have tried to provide some schemes which are ensuring both second order accuracy as well as stability. Okay, so now let us try to see some of the popular limiter functions. So you can see over here some of the popular flux limiter functions are Van Leer, Van Albada. So these are the names under which these schemes are actually available, and this is the actually source from where these schemes are actually taken. Okay, so you can see different values for limiter functions. Someone has taken r plus mod r divided by 1 plus r, then another is r plus r square divided by 1 plus r square. So someone has taken by specifying different conditions to r. Okay, so these are the different popular limiter functions which actually lies in the stable as well as the second order accurate design on this R psi diagram. Okay, and let us now try to see if we plot these psi r on our diagram, then how they are actually looking like. Okay, So these you can see over here. So here we are having the different functions. So you can see this is Venn-Leer. So you can see Venn-Leer is one of the limiter function actually, which is applicable for the entire range of R. Similarly, Venn-Albada is also one function which is applicable for the entire design. Then you are having this min mode scheme. So min mode is actually meeting the minimum criteria of second order accuracy and stability. Similarly, this scheme you are having super P, that is meeting the maximum limiting criteria. So this is how we are having actually number of limiter functions, and these are some of the popular limiter functions which are actually meeting the requirement of second order accuracy as well as the stability, and these are being used in our commercial as well as the open source CFD packages. Okay, so is this point clear? How like fundamentally TVD schemes are derived?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us try to see while we will be implementing the TVD schemes in our solver. So how we will be actually taking care of the different terms, how we will be discretizing the domain. Okay. So let me write over here our topic as implementation of TVD schemes in CFD solvers. So now we will be talking about implementation of TVD, particularly for convection diffusion problems, because we have started our discussion only with the convection diffusion problems till this time. Okay. So what is the equation for convection diffusion problems? Tell me the equation for one-dimensional convection diffusion problems. Governing equation, main governing equation.
D by dx rho u phi equal to d by dx.
Rho u phi equal to
D by dx rho of d phi by dx.
d by dx gamma d phi by dx. Okay. So now that this one also we have seen, while we will be integrating this and converting the volume integral into surface integrals, we will be finally finding as if I do for some node P which is having E and W as the faces of the control volume. So I will be finding Fe into phi E minus Fw into phi W equal to gamma E into d phi by dx at point E minus gamma W into d phi by dx at W. Okay. So now if I have to estimate the fluxes using TVD scheme, can you tell me what will be the expression for phi E and phi W? What will be the expression for phi E? Phi E will be equal to E phi P plus
1 by 2 psi r.
1 by 2 psi R E, because R is something which is the ratio of upstream gradient to the downstream gradient. So when I am defining this at some particular phase, I have to include the subscript over here. So, okay, so 1 by 2 psi R E into
E minus phi p.
phi E minus phi P. So that will be the value for phi E. Now can you tell me what will be the value of RE over here? So here RE has to be equal to upstream flux divided by downstream flux. So what is the upstream flux?
Phi p minus phi w divided by phi e minus phi p.
Phi E minus phi P. Okay, so that is the value for RE. Now similarly, can you tell me what will be the value of phi W? phi w will be, what will be the value for phi w? Please tell me. Yeah, please go ahead. Can you tell me the value for phi w considering TVD scheme?
So phi p plus half of psi rw or phi p minus phi w.
It will be phi w plus what I told. While we are writing the flux, it is nothing but upwind flux plus some additional flux which is coming because of the gradient in the downstream direction. Okay. So what we will be doing? What is the upstream node for W phase? Which one is upstream node?
W.
W.
So I have to write over here phi w plus half of psi at which point?
Rw.
Rw into what I will now write?
Phi p minus phi w.
Phi p minus phi w. Okay, so make some analogy. Okay. Now can you tell me what will be the value for Rw? Please tell me the value for Rw. Rw has to be upstream gradient upon downstream gradient. So what is upstream gradient over here?
Phi p minus phi w
Phi p minus phi w.
divided by phi w minus phi w. No, sir, sorry. Phi
So
w minus phi w divided by phi p minus phi w.
yes, now it is correct. So that will be the value for phi w. So now we are having this Re, Rw. So we have to estimate psi Re and psi Rw depending upon any of the different limiter functions which I have specified in the previous slides just now. Okay. So now we have estimated the values for the terms which are on left hand side. Yes.
Sir, in convection diffusion equations, d by dx outside from gamma d by dx.
Here, yeah. So it will be something like this. Yes. Then we have to integrate this. Then we will be getting this. Okay. Yeah. So this equation was wrongly written. Yes. This one only you were saying, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So now what I have to do? Now I have to estimate the values for d phi by dx at east phase and d phi by dx at W phase. Okay. So for that, what we will be doing for diffusion terms, we will be applying CDS scheme. Okay. So whatever the TVD term, while we implement TVD schemes, what we do only for the convective term, we will be including the TVD scheme, and for diffusion term, we will be including the central difference scheme. So now can you tell me what will be d phi by dx at east phase considering central difference scheme? Please tell me these different values for the diffusion fluxes. What will be value for d phi by dx at E?
Phi e minus phi p divided by 2 del x.
Divided by simply del x, because E to P spacing is del x. Okay. And d phi by dx at W will be phi P minus phi W divided by del x. Okay. Now what I will be doing, I will be substituting all these values in my equation number 1. Okay. So if I substitute in equation number 1, what I will be getting, Fe times phi p plus half of psi Re into phi e minus phi p. Okay. Minus Fw into phi w plus half of psi Rw into phi p minus phi w. Is it correct? And in the right hand side, I'll be having gamma E divided by dx into phi E minus phi P and minus of gamma W divided by dx into phi P minus phi W. Okay. So now what I will do, these terms involving psi, I'll bring to the right hand side. This gamma by delta x, I will write dE. This gamma by delta x, I will write dW. And apart from psi, all the terms involving P, I will keep on the left hand side. Okay. So you see P, we are having in the left hand side as FE. Then from here we are having DE. So plus DE. And from here we are having DW plus DW into phi P. That will be equal to, now any term involving E and W apart from psi, we will first write. So apart from psi, we are having this over here, dE into phi E. Okay, and this FW will go to right hand side, so it will become plus FW, and this minus minus will also become plus. So plus FW plus DW into phi W, and then let us now take all the terms involving psi function on the right hand side. Okay, so that will be becoming plus FW into half of psi RW into phi P minus phi W. Okay, and minus FE into half of psi RE into phi E minus phi P. Is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
So what I can do, I can make over here analogy as AP into phi P equal to DE into phi E plus, sorry, equal to AE into phi E plus AW into phi W plus some source term over here. So let me write this as some source term, SU. Okay. Now, if I write this one, I will be getting different coefficients as AP is becoming equal to FE plus DE plus DW. Okay. And if you see the coefficient AE, that is becoming equal to DE. And if you see the coefficient AW, that is becoming equal to FW plus DW. Okay, so if you see these coefficients, these are nothing but identical to that of coefficients of normal upwind differential scheme. Okay, so whatever the initial upwind differential scheme we have considered, coefficients are coming equivalent to that only. Okay, and all the main coefficients which are close to the diagonals, these are actually all are positive. And so if all the coefficients are positive, in that case, what will be happening? My scheme will be always ensuring the stability. Okay, so it will be always stable. But we are having some additional source term over here, and this particular source term is actually having few negative coefficients also. Okay, so what we will try to see, like I have explained while talking about quick scheme, one concept of deferred correction. Okay, so do you remember the concept of deferred correction? I asked something.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so like we have used deferred correction in our quick scheme, here also we will try to employ the deferred correction. So while we are employing the deferred correction, what we have to do? We have to consider that we are estimating this SU at time step n-1. So basically, this additional term over here is something which is adding extra accuracy into our solution, but this extra accuracy can also lead to sometimes issues with the stability of the solution. So that's why we will be estimating this from the previous time step. So if we are estimating from the previous iteration level, then this entire value will be actually a priori known to us. Okay, so if this value is known to us, our equation will be becoming equivalent to that of the upwind differential scheme. So solution will be stable, but whatever this value we are introducing in terms of deferred correction, that will be actually in long run, while we will be doing the number of iterations, that will be actually taking care of the accuracy of the solution. Okay, so this is how TVD schemes are actually implemented when we consider when we employ these for the numerical solution of different convection diffusion problems. Okay, so is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, one very important point is there. So till now, whether we talked about upwind, quick, or linear upwind schemes, any of the schemes, we have considered that flow is taking place from left to right. Okay, so if flow is taking place from left to right, we are considering Fe as nothing but rho u into A at phase E, and Fw as equal to rho ua at phase W. Okay, so while we are particularly talking about, if we talk about quick scheme and the TVD scheme, we have given weightage to the upwind direction node. Okay, so if I will be having the flow in reverse direction, so you have to account for the flow direction, and while you are accounting for the flow direction, actually that will be changing the upwind nodes. Okay, so this is one important point actually, which sometimes one may confuse while using different higher order schemes, and may encounter significant errors into the solution. So this kind of error is something which is actually gross blunder and will never result in realistic results. Okay, so if I have this reverse flow kind of situation and I am using the nomenclature of the nodes as usual, and now if I have to estimate the flux at phase E using the TVD scheme, now can you tell me what will be the value of flux? Phi E has to be equal to
I capital E.
phi capital E plus half of psi RE into what I'll be getting now?
Phi
Phi P minus phi.
minus
Phi P minus
Phi P.
Phi E. Okay, so this is how actually we will be we have to actually give the weightage to the upward direction by considering the direction of the flow. Okay, so this is one important aspect which you have to consider. Apart from this, we have one more very important point, and that important point is actually particularly related to the treatment of boundary nodes. Okay, so this is one very important aspect which I have not even talked about with quick scheme. So this is applicable for quick also, and it is applicable for TVD schemes also. So any of the higher order schemes, if we are increasing the order of accuracy, nothing but we are actually taking more participation from the nodes. So when we are taking the involvement of more nodes, what will be happening when particularly we are talking about the boundary nodes, we will not be having any node available in the say upstream direction or downstream direction. Okay, for the boundary phase. So what we will be doing over here. So this is one very important aspect which we have to consider while we are actually developing some numerical scheme. Okay, so let me talk about the treatment of boundary nodes. So let us first consider that we are having some domain, and this is A is representing some boundary of this domain. Okay, now say I have some node over here. This is my node number P. Okay, and this node number P, so this is my control volume basically. So for this control volume, this is my east face and this will be my west face. Okay, so this is face W. Now what will be happening over here? Say my boundary condition is Dirichlet type, it is already given that at this point value of phi is equal to A. So how I will be estimating the value of fluxes at point east and phi W? Can you tell me how I can estimate? I have to estimate the value of phi at point E and at point W. How can I estimate these values? So when I have to estimate at this east face, let us consider I have to do it using the quick scheme. So if I have to do it using the quick scheme, what I have to do? If I am considering the quick scheme over here, what I have to do? I have to consider two nodes. So this is my east face. I have to consider two nodes in the upstream direction and one node in the downstream direction. So you can see over here, I have one node in the downstream direction, and in the upstream direction, I am only having one node. So I'm not having the another node available if I have to apply quick scheme and estimate value of phi at east face. So what I will be doing in this scenario, if I don't take the participation of two nodes in the upstream direction, then my order of accuracy at the boundary node will be lost, and there will not be any benefit of using the quick scheme for the intermediate nodes, because already we have a lost order of accuracy at the boundary nodes. Okay. So under this scenario, if I have to maintain the order of accuracy, what I can do? Can you tell me how I can proceed now? I am only having one node in the upstream direction. So what I will be doing, I will be creating some node outside the domain. Okay, so I am creating some node W over here outside the domain, and this particular node I will be calling as nothing but mirror node. This point is clear? So the node extra node which we create in order to obtain the value of the fluxes for particularly my boundary nodes or boundary faces. Okay, what we have to do, we have to create some additional node which we call as nothing but mirror node in order to ensure or meet the order of accuracy requirements. Okay, and we will be extrapolating first the value of phi. So first we will extrapolate value of phi to obtain value of phi for this additionally created mirror node which is lying outside the domain, and then we will take its help in order to find out the value at east face. So this will be serving as nothing but another upstream node which will be helping us in apply quick scheme while estimating the value of phi at east flux. Okay, what about this left face, west face? So if I have to estimate the value of phi at west face, how I can estimate? So for west face, I need not to create any extra nodes because already I have told you that we are having Dirichlet condition. So at this point, already the value of phi is known. So for the W phase, value of phi is already prescribed in the physical situation, and that is nothing but equal to A. Okay. So we will be requiring this additional mirror node only for finding the value for the east face of this control volume. Now, how mathematically we can extrapolate this value and how to employ this mirror node then for finding out the value of phi E and d phi by dx for the boundary nodes, that we will try to see in the next lecture. Okay, so I have just introduced you the basic concept and detailed mathematical derivation for this portion, and the treatment of boundary nodes we will try to see in our next lecture. So if you are having any questions, then